Shalom, when the staff source but giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, B'Shem Kadash, double honors to the apostles of great Most and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name within the world name he calls God Jehovah Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His true name is Yahweh Shan. When we pray Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning done, Shan meaning names Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, just wanted to get in on this one. Basically, video that I did the other day, asked the robot, for basically like Marvel-like miracles, in the scriptures, right? Because this is it. It's like when you read the scriptures, it's like you read some of the stories and you're just like, how would you call it? How are there not more films based on this? Like for instance, the series on King David, right? That whole series, although obviously they get things wrong, right? That was a great watch. Again, talking of King David, I don't know if it's in this list here, right? Which some of these go off, right? But let's grab this. This is what is it? Like Psalm 16, right? F 18. I'll say 16. Right. Let me see where we can start from. All right. I know there's two bits. I always forget where. But let me start from 32. Right. Psalms 18:32 is the Most High that girdeth me with strength and maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet and setteth me upon high places. Right. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken is broken by mine arms. Right. He says, Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, thy right hand hath holded me up, thy gentleness has made me great, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like with these things, it ain't, as we always go into, it ain't of ourselves, right? It's of the Most High basically extending, right, and giving this to us, right? Because there's a gift for, for the work that we're doing, right? In fact, let's grab a few on that. Is with me. Revelation 22:12 says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. Right, so the Lord, right, has a reward for us doing that work, right, for doing this work rather, right. If we jump over to Revelation 2:26, it says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and the vessel of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. Right, as yes, quote Psalms 2:9, right, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, right, thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel, right. And that makes me think of the precept, right, in Jeremiah 51, right. So it says, I'll start from 19. It says, the portion of Jacob is not like them, right, for he is the form of all things, right. It's Yahweh, right. He's he ain't like these other false idols. He's real, right. So as we read the scriptures, what the living power, right. It says, in Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. It says, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, right. So the Lord is going to make us those. What was this? In fact, we can grab that as well. And for the precepts, right? This is Isaiah 41:15. It says, behold, I'll make thee a new sharp threshing instrument, right, having teeth. In fact, let me read from 14, Salakia. Right, must needs read from 14, right? It says, fear not thy worm Jacob, right, and ye men of Israel. I will help thee, saith the Lord Yahweh, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Okay, so that first bit, it's like right now we're just a worm. Right? We need protection. Worms, you see worms, man. Like you be walking, you just see a worm on a path, right? And you catch it, it's like, oh snap. You try your best not to step on it, right? Because with worms, they're just exposed to the elements. Okay, and that's us right now. We're exposed to the elements. We need Yahweh Shem Shai to come and be our protection. Okay, right, and it goes on to say, behold, I'll make thee a new threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff. Thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and thou shalt rejoice in Yahweh, and shall glory in the Holy One of Israel. Okay, so the Lord is gonna, make us, would you call it, stronger, faster, better, right? And once again, this is just like how you have these, different characters that you see in these television shows, these movies or whatever, right? Really, they're just depicting, right, what, the kind of power we're gonna have. Okay, now obviously in the way that the movies are depicted, right, things go off, right? But the point is still there, right? The fact that you're gonna have people with super strength. You're gonna have, we just read it in Psalms 18, right? We just read super strength in the case of King David here, right? Bow of steel bent in his arms, right? What was that precept? Right? This is Wisdom 11 and it's just going into something else. What precept am I thinking of? Let me see. I think it should be in here. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Wisdom 3, right, and 7, right? It says, and in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble, right? You talk about the flash, that's going to be us, right? Just zooming, okay? But we believe these things. That was the inspiration for the first video, right? Which was, a vocab basically speaking about how, what's the word I'm looking for? But basically you could tell that they don't believe, right? These Christians, they don't believe in the scriptures. They say they believe, but they don't believe, right? So it says, so we read that, right? So let's read some of these examples, right? It says, if by Marvel-like characters you mean biblical events that resemble superhero powers or cinematic set pieces, the King James Bible has plenty, right? And you see, right, all of these, right? Just scrolling down, right? And once again, when I first looked at it, there was one where I was like, I need to, go over that again, right? But it says, right, superhuman strength, right? Samson tears apart a lion, right? Carries away city gates and brings down a building, right? So you read that through the book of Judges, right? And once again, when we're reading these things, we do believe. In fact, let me just grab Judges 16 and 28. Right, so it says, and Samson called unto Yahweh, right? So it says, in fact, let's read the title, right? The pericope, right? It says, Samson is avenged. And it says, and Samson called unto Yahweh and said, O Yahweh, Lord power, right? Remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O Most High, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistine from my two eyes. And Samson took hold of the two pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne, right? So the foundations, right? It says of the one with his right hand and the other with his left. And Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all that were therein, so that the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life, right? There's a powerful point in that, because once again, where did the strength come from? Right? It came from Yahweh Shem Shai, right? Once again, we ain't we don't do these things of ourselves. We do things of Yahweh Shem Shai, right? We ain't our own. I mean, that's really the point, right? We are the basically conduits, right, of Yahweh Shem Shai. Right? When the time of healing comes, we ain't gonna be healing of ourselves. We're gonna be healing of Yahweh Shem Shai, right? So that no man may glory. Like this ain't of us, right? So yeah, this is a great one, and this happened, right? And the Lord was with it, right? Through Samson's story, right? There were things that the Lord set up that were specifically for his story, and that's the same of us. Okay, there are things that we go through that are just for our story, and not only for ourselves, but to then, share those experiences, with the brothers that be around us, right? Because not everything becomes a video, right? But there's certain things, Arkim, that we're around, right? That we can be like, hey, brother, I've been where you've been, right? This is what we can do in this situation. It's what we can do in that situation. Okay. So yeah, let's carry on, right? This is teleportation, right? Weather control, right? And this is Yahushua. What did Yahushua say? These, right? It says John. No, this isn't the one I want. Let me just get it real quick. Yeah. It's John 13:14 and 12. So verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. Right, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. Right. So when it's saying that Yahushua, right, calm the storm. So let's grab that Mark 4:37. Right, and read into it. Right, Mark 4:37 says, and there arose a great storm of wind, right, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. Right, and it says, and he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillar. And they awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he rose and rebuked the wind, right, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm. And he said unto them, Why are you so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Right? Right. He was he's the son of the Most High. Right? And as we just read in John 14, right, the things that Yahushua did, we go and do on greater. Right? He also got the time when he walked on water. Right? Force-filled like protection. Right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right, survive inside a furnace without being burnt. Right? Once again, the Lord was with him. Right? Animal control and protection. Right? Daniel survives overnight among lions because the Most High shut their mouths. And we're gonna get that power back, right, with the animals. Right? It says Isaiah 11 from verse 8, 7, 6. Right? It says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. Isaiah 11 and 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. Right? And that's the Israelite child. Right? You're gonna have, we're basically, in fact, I think it's gonna say it. So I'll read on. It says, and the cow and the bear shall feed; their young ones shall lie down together. Right, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. It says, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp; the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. Right, they shall not hurt nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. So what we're reading here is that nothing's gonna hurt us. The animals are gonna be in control. So rather, we're gonna be in control of the animals, right? As was the case from the beginning. Okay, because what do you call it, Adam, right, he had power over the animals. Okay, so in fact, whereas let's read. Is this one I want? Yeah, so this is Genesis 1:26, and the power said, Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, right, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Right? It says the image is referring to order, i.e. the laws, right? And that dominion is that man was given power over all the animals, right? Which at the time of Adam, right? No, all the animals feared man, right? Let's read what it says here in Genesis 9:2. It says, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, right? And upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon the fishes of the sea, and into your hand are they delivered. Right, so the animals go back to being in fear in the kingdom of Israel, right? It says man has already been created at this point, right? But the angel was just saying, let's make man different from the animals. Let's give them the laws and order. Okay. So that's it, right? So no more what's like Dr. Doolittle, right? If you wish, that's what it's gonna be like. Hold on one sec. Just some Edomites outside my door. There's a problem with these flats, man. Everyone can hear your shit. Excuse my French. But yeah, that's the point. Gonna be like Dr. Doolittle, okay? Right. Once again, that's just the Israelites. Ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be these heathens. As we just read in Isaiah 11, right, having dominion right over the animals. Right, that ain't gonna be the case. Okay, so do we finish reading this? Yeah, we read this. Yeah, right. Yeah, so fire from heaven, right? Elijah called down fire that consumes the sacrifice, altar, stones, and water. And this is a great story, right? Because this whole story in 1 Kings 18 verses 30 to 39, right, is all about the most High showing that, look, I'm the one, right? Because what does it say in Psalms 96 and 4 and 5, right? So it says, for the Lord Yahweh is great and greatly to be praised, right? He is to be feared above all gods, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahweh made the heavens, right? Goes on. So let's read some of these, right? Parting the sea, which we know, like stopping celestial movement, right? So the sun and moon appeared to stand still during Joshua's battle. Not appeared, it did, right? Once again, we believe these things happen. We believe these, once again, when we read these precepts, when we read, everything that is, Salakia. One sec. When we read these accounts, right? Because I was gonna say stories, but these are accounts. These are recorded accounts of things that men in the Bible did, right? We believe these things, man. Right? We ain't like these non-believers that say they believe but they don't. Okay, so yeah, so it says resurrection power, right? That, but that's this is going into, although there were men that were brought back to in fact no, Slakia, getting confused, right? Because you had Lazarus, but then also you've got that as a metaphor, right? Of the would you call it, of the children of Israel, right? The fact that we were dead, right, and then we were raised back up, okay. Right, because there are several things, right, in the scriptures that really are, would you call it, that are allegorical, right? Like the different elders, break down, what was it, the woman accused of adultery, right? How that's allegorical to the nation of Israel, right? Because the children nation of Israel, we committed adultery, right? Spiritual adultery. Right, in fact, we can jump over to that in Jeremiah, right? 6, is it? No, it's 3 then. Right, it says Jeremiah 3 from the top. They say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord Yahweh. Right, so the Lord, wants us to return, right? But these times we have, committed spiritual adultery. Okay, matter, the healing, right? Matter, multiplication, right? Few loaves and fishes feed thousands. Matthew 14, 15 to 21, right? Matter, transformation, water becomes wine. John 2, 1 to 11, right? intangibility or escape, right? Yahushua passes through a hostile crowd attempting to kill him, right? And then there's another one as well. Here is it here? No, that doesn't, right? But yeah, it says right, prison break, right? An angel frees Peter, right? Chains fall off and an iron gate opens, right? Acts 12:6 to 10, right? Object manipulation, so earth manipulation, instant judgment. Yeah, because I said some of these, like, it's like, yeah, okay, it's like, I guess, but once again, this is still power, right? Because when the judgment fell, right, on Korah and them, right, it was like, yo, what'd you call it? It's like, it was like, yeah, yo, you're gonna what's the word I'm looking for? You're gonna go into this hole, right? And that was it, right? And an instant judgment, right? And Ananias and Sapphira fall dead after lying about money. Acts 5:1 through 10, right? And then even what is it? Healing through objects, right? I was thinking about when the woman was like, "Yo, let me touch Yahushua's garments," right? And then that would be enough to heal me, right? So when we read this, right, it says Hulk, Samson, right, Quicksilver, Elijah outrunning Ahab's chariot, Storm, Elijah, Yahushua commanding weather, right? Doctor Strange, Moses performing signs and confronting Egyptian magicians, right? Human Torch, Elijah calling down fire, right? Nightcrawler, Philip being supernaturally transported, Vision, Captain Marvel, right? Scarlet and stuff like that. I didn't. I was trying to more just get like different examples of, superhero style things, right? But then it, started, doing a alignment of some of them, right? But what we do know is these people, when they write, these directors, when they write these scripts, right? They do get a lot of inspiration from the scriptures, right? So as always, Lord, I was edifying. Till next time we say shalom.